Another Brick fan with some LEGO Batman news. Some new sets have been revealed. A couple of new Batman sets have shown up on a Vietnamese site. One is Batman vs. the Joker, Batmobile Chase, and Batman Classic TV Series Batmobile. And also the Batman cowl showed up a few days ago. Let's take a closer look at some of these, and I'm going to start with the cowl because I really like these helmet sets. These aren't super high-res images, but you can see here is the Batman cowl. It's in, of course, the 18+ box. It looks an awful lot like the other helmet series. This is a very interesting look for the Batman helmet. It's interesting. It's very interesting how they did kind of that trans black, I would call it, or kind of the darker transparent color there as kind of a fake head or a mannequin head to put the cowl over. So that's kind of that's going to be an interesting build. I think it's going to be very interesting to take a look at that. I think the cowl over the top looks pretty good. It's not perfect. I think there's some other versions of the Batman cowl that I would have preferred maybe. It only has 410 pieces, and they're expecting this to cost $60 that most of these helmet sets cost. So that seems like a high price per piece count, obviously, and I think probably pretty high just as a helmet in general. Having said all that, I'll probably end up picking this up because I do think it's going to look good as a display model, and I certainly like Batman and the helmet series. Taking a quick look at the front and back of the boxes here, you can see there's a good, as you can see on the front of the box is a good angled view of the Batman cowl, and on the back you can kind of see the other side of the Batman cowl. Looking at the artwork, this is probably modeled after some Frank Miller versions of the Batman. Kind of an older styling of Batman from that era. Now onto the two sets that were recently revealed, and this includes the Batmobile, Batman and Joker Batmobile Chase. Quite honestly, my favorite part of this whole set is the Batgirl figure on that skateboard. I really like that color scheme with that kind of teal colored cape, the teal colored print of the mask over her face. I really like that. I think that's pretty cool. And I really like the fact that she's riding a skateboard. I think that looks really cool. This Joker figure and the Batman figure look like ones we've seen before. I do like the Joker minifigs, and I think they look great. I always like that big devilish smile they have on him, and that's a pretty common Batman. I think it's a decent set. I don't collect a lot of these 4+ sets because I just don't think they're as detailed or as interesting as the regular Lego sets, but I think this one looks pretty good, and I may pick it up if it's cheap enough. Here's the boxes, so you can see the kind of the car chase is going on. It's a decent looking Batmobile, and the Joker's car is kind of an old style car there with it looks like a catapult on the back there, and it has the green and purple and orange coloring, so very Joker-ish there. Probably not for me, but a good looking set nonetheless. This set I'm very interested in. This is the Batmobile modeled after the classic 1960s campy TV show of the Batman. So this is pretty nostalgic to me. I remember watching the reruns of that show. I wasn't around for the first cut of this show. And I think that the Batmobile here looks pretty authentic and looks recognizable as that 1960s Batmobile from the TV show. I think it looks great. Here are the boxes for that set. I like how they staged the car and the exit of the Batcave from the TV series where they had that little roadblock sign that moved out of the way as the Batmobile drove out of that cave in the background. So that's something I remember from the series. Looking on the back of the box, it looks like there's a really nice data plate that goes with this car. It appears that it's on a big, what I call satellite dish piece, so it probably rotates around so you can display it at various angles. And it looks like there's a couple of action features and maybe even a trunk that you can store something in. The two figures that come with this are kind of the classic blue and gray Batman, as opposed to the more black versions we've seen in the modern Batman. And the Joker figure there in that pinkish or salmon colored outfit also looks really good. Some of my final thoughts. I think the bat cowl looks pretty good, although I think for 410 pieces they probably should have charged maybe $50 instead of $70 for this helmet set. I understand that all the other helmets have been priced at that $60 price range, but I think they could have gotten away. You know, they should have probably reduced the price for this because it's so few pieces and not nearly as complicated as some of the other helmets. The 1960s Batmobile is probably my favorite out of these three sets. I really like it, the look of it. I think it is very authentic looking, as I mentioned. From what I can tell, if you translate the Vietnamese pricing there, they had this at about $45 US, which is an odd price for Lego. They tend to do, you know, like $39.99 or $49.99. So I'm figuring it's going to be somewhere in that range. And that last set, which is Batman versus the Joker Batmobile Chase, the 4 Plus, or what I still think of as a junior set, was also going to be listed right around that $40 mark as well, which I think is probably a little high for that set. So we'll see when the U.S. announcements and pricing comes out. But overall, nice to see some Batman sets coming out. I'd like to see some other sets from the DC Universe come out, but it seems like Batman seems to be the main character that comes out in Lego for the DC Universe. And I think a couple of really solid sets here to get, and that even though that junior set is not something I would collect, I think it's a good set and a lot of people will really enjoy it. Hope you liked my thoughts on these new Batman sets that are coming out here in April or early May. And I'm going to get started on my next video. And until then, happy building.